Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Top Billers Toolkit, where me and my twin brother interview top billers from all around the globe to unlock the secrets to their success. Today's guest is Jeff Diepenbrock. Jeff's story is pretty insane. He was a college basketball coach for many years, earning about 30 to 40k. Then COVID hit. He completely shifted into the recruitment industry and is now billing around 600k in the legal sector. In this episode, we break down what it's like moving from college basketball coach to recruiter, how he penetrated the legal sector with virtually no experience, and his approach to NPCs, how he starts conversations with net new clients and wins their business. Really great episode today, guys. I'm hoping you'll pick up a few golden nuggets. It's a great story about reinvention, reading people, and doing the simple things properly. As usual, grab a cuppa or a glass of wine, depending on when you're listening to this, and let's get into it, shall we? Wait a second, guys. Quick question for you. If you could land a new client on LinkedIn in the next couple of weeks, how much would that be worth to you? 20, 30, maybe 40k? Well, we have a pretty crazy offer on right now. If you are a recruitment business owner, then we will work with you for free and write you 2 posts at absolutely no cost. And here's the cool part. Other recruiters that have come through this free trial have managed to win new clients. They've racked up hundreds of thousands of impressions and started conversations with top tier candidates. It's completely risk-free, so you have nothing to lose and everything to gain. If you're interested, the link's in the description below. If not, no worries. We hope you enjoy the podcast. See you later. Jeff, thank you so much for joining us today on Top Billers Toolkit. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good, my friend. Yeah, everything is good here over in Texas. Just kind of another week in 360 recruitment world.
Awesome, dude. I'm really excited about this story. You have a unique story and how you got into recruitment, so I'm really looking forward to diving into that. But as always, let's jump into the first question, which is, what's the number one tool in your toolkit, whether it be a mindset, strategy, or software?
Yeah, I would say for me, it's just a mindset of trying to get 1 or 2 wins every single day, because in this business you're going to have losses, and if you don't counteract those losses, whether it's a fall off or if it's a candidate you're really excited about and client turns them down for an interview. If you don't stack up those wins, even if they're small wins every day, you'll get burnt out like in this profession very quickly. So trying to pull something positive every day is, especially when you're getting started in the industry, which I am fairly new in the 360 world, I think it's critical.
It's interesting. When did you first start realizing that this was a tough industry, Jeff? And how did you kind of motivate yourself to keep going?
Yeah, I mean, I had, I would say, really, when I first started legal, I mean, my first ever placement in legal staffing was a paralegal placement, and the client didn't want to pay us. Basically, he
Oh,
was
wow.
like, I know we have this signed, agreement. That's great and all, but I only want to pay you half that. And like, if you want more than that, like, you're gonna have to come after us. And so that
Wow.
was
That was
like
your
my
first placement? Oh my
first ever
God.
placement. Yeah. And that was, almost 3 years ago to the
That's so
day.
annoying.
Obviously like not working with that client anymore, but yeah, that was the first one. And, fortunately that taught me what a bad client is at a very
Mm,
young age in the profession.
wow. And then so in terms of how you kept going, was it just a matter of resilience and was it just pure sheer resilience and or was there anything that you did to like actively keep yourself in the game?
For legal, I always really liked it from the first week, really, because of the ability to get a client signed in the same day. Like, I came from healthcare where that can take months, if not
Mm,
like an entire quarter, to get a contract signed with a large like healthcare system. And
mm,
the speed to market to which you could get a client, that wants to work with you in the same day, was really a breath of fresh air for me. And I just enjoy talking to attorneys as well. Like, a lot of them are very matter of fact and tell you like it is. And that's kind of how I am as well. I don't like to, sugarcoat things, and attorneys for the most part don't like to either. And it's just kind of gelled.
interesting. Um, I have a few questions on that, but I think let's jump into that in a in a bit, because I really want to get into your past, Jeff. You were a college basketball coach. You were on about 30 to 40K a year. And now you've transitioned to recruitment where you're billing around 600. So you've gone from this, crazy transition in terms of sector and also how much you're earning as well. Can you take us back to the college football days? Sorry, college basketball. I got this wrong last time. College basketball. Can you take us back to the college basketball days? What was it like?
Yeah, it's a you're working nights, holidays, weekends. There's not very much money to be made. I still have a lot of really good friends I have a ton of respect for in that industry that love it. Um, it's just one of those things you never get into for the money. You kind of have this. I grew up in the state of North Carolina, where college basketball is like the number one sport. It's the biggest deal. It's Duke, North Carolina, NC State. I went to Virginia Tech, which is in the ACC. We were playing all those schools, and I kind of got a hands-on experience like at a young age there. And you're as a coach, especially at that level. I mean, you basically don't get credit for any of the wins, but you get blamed for the losses. And so you learn that at a very like early age. It's not about you, and so. But in terms of the grind of it, it's all recruiting. I would say like 75% of the job is recruiting. It's extremely competitive to where, all of the best players are going to be courted by all of the best schools. And then outside of that, you're going to have the kind of like diamonds in the rough and the hidden gems, if you will, where, the kids that aren't so much known on a national level. It's really fun to try and find those types of prospects as well and build the relationships with the family. So, but imagine like running an agency and you get 5 placements, and you feel really good about them, but you're not making any more money from those placements. I mean, that's essentially what it is. You can sign a great class, like you're not going to get any more money. Like hopefully it makes your team better the next season, but my final 2 years coaching basketball in college was actually at the junior college level. So we were a 2-year school. It's basically like you're going to get your associate's degree. But so that's kind of a 360 desk in a way, because you're signing players for your team and then you're trying to get your own players signed by 4-year schools. So you're trying to get those players on the radar of Division 1, Division 2 coaches that are, where they can finish their college career. And then you're also trying to find your own players next year, over other schools that have about the same budgets as you. And so it's extremely, extremely competitive, and a lot of late nights driving home from high school basketball games at midnight, and relationship building at the end of the day.
Was there? Sorry, Ben. Can I just jump in?
Yeah, go ahead, man.
Because a lot of people just stay in like a profession like that for many, many, many years, and maybe they even retire there. So I'm just wondering, what was the moment you were like, "Hey, this has been fun, but I've got to change this"? I'm just curious about that specific moment, if you can remember it.
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, I would say if COVID never happened, I'd probably still be coaching. I was visiting my mom for our spring break in, I guess it was February or March of 2020. And that's when COVID obviously like just blew up. I was living in the state of Mississippi, which, I don't remember if you remember like back to the early days of COVID, the first cases in the United States were like New York City, like LA. It was like a dot here or there, Seattle maybe. And so you think Mississippi, like, we'll never get that. I mean, we're so far away. And then, 2 months later, they had canceled school for the rest of the year. So I ended up just like staying with her because I was teaching a class at the time, didn't have a class to teach. Our season got canceled. And so I was just like, I basically got a breakaway from college basketball for the first time in my life, in my adult life. And I was away for about 3 or 4 months, and I said, you know what, like, I don't know if I really miss this as much as my friends that are coaching. Like, maybe that's a sign that I want to try something else. So, yeah, I mean, if COVID had never happened, I would still probably be coaching. A lot of people are really scared to your point, to leave what they've done their whole life, what they've built for. It's a extreme, there's an infinite supply of people that want to coach in college, and the demand is there's just not very many jobs. And so when you have them, it's kind of this pressure to stick it out and try and get a better job. And this and that. But yeah, I mean, I was also like delivering Uber Eats food because I had nothing to do. And I was making more money doing that than coaching. And so I was
Wow.
like, well, why don't I maybe look into some other stuff?
And
Interesting.
do you remember your first deal? Because going from, I don't know how much you were making as a basketball
Yeah.
coach, but I'm sure you're making substantially more now. I remember mine and Ben's first deal online. This was many, many years ago, and I was like, "Oh my god! I just closed a deal online. I haven't even met the person, and this much money has come into my bank account." I'm just curious. Do you remember that moment as well? Because that must have been quite a mindset shift.
Yeah, so my first job in recruitment was a 180 desk. I was staffing nurses in for major hospitals in Houston, and at the time, like I went from making a total the year before on a W-2 like less than 40 grand, and then this job was like a 50K base salary. So I'm like, oh, I'm already winning
Already
there.
up,
But then like
crazy.
each of the nurse placements, they were all contracts, so we could get them. They'd probably be like $1,000 in commission. Like to me at that time, I was like, holy cow, like I can make
Mm.
$1,000 like as a placement. And that's not like a ton of money, obviously, but for me at the time, I was like, man, this is awesome. So that's where I
Mm.
like started working extra hours and just trying to outwork people and get that up. And then, we can get into more of like why I wanted to switch to a 360 desk model, but at the time it was like, kind of addicting to be able to be rewarded financially for working harder. I had never had
Mm.
that, which is kind of crazy to
Yeah,
say.
yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine. Um, Really interesting. And I'd love to go into, because you're in the legal space, it's not the easiest sector to work in, Jeff. Like,
Yeah.
not, I don't think anyone can do it, or I just feel like it's an interesting sector. It's quite sophisticated. There's very smart people in there. I know it's like most industries, it's based a lot of trust and referrals. How did you get into the legal sector from someone who didn't have a huge amount of experience in recruitment?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, I would say, at the beginning stages of it, I was just trying to market myself to as many firms that would let me work with them. They were not going to be the highest fees, so there'd be some paralegal placements, this and there. And I started to, you know, just get on the phone with law firms and learn about the industry. Like, hey, what are you really looking for? What's been your experience like with other agencies? And then once I started to create relationships with a firm here or there, I would really start to work hard on their needs. And then that led to a lot of MPCing, to where, obviously when you start, you don't really know what a good candidate looks like or who would be a good fit for a client. There's so many different types of attorneys, obviously. And yeah, so now, like leading up a few years later, it's all MPCing, really.
Wow.
There's specific markets that I've really carved the niche in terms of cities, and I try and stay in those spaces as well, just because I have market knowledge of, hey, this would be a great firm to pull people from because they don't pay people, or like this place makes people go in the office 5 days a week, and their office is in a terrible location. So,
Mm.
and then you have really good clients that are good to like place people at, conversely. So yeah.
Interesting.
Mm.
And you went from placing nurses to then legal. So what was the moment you were like, "Hey, legal is going to be a potential, good industry"? Was it like a random placement you made? Was it a conscious decision? Did you have to? What happened there, Jeff?
Yeah, so I came to my current company, JobOdd, which is great because they let us, really do anything we want. It's like a blank canvas when you start. And I started off
Cool.
doing kind of 360 healthcare, and then I had a guy named Brian Raffel who came on and really taught my team about legal staffing. He said there's a lot of money to be made here, but if you want to do it, you got to go all in. And
Mm.
that was all I needed to hear. It was really a 30-minute call, and then from there, I just like ran with it and. Um, you know, it was, to answer your question, it was just the ability to get a contract signed by a client like literally the same day. Like in healthcare, we had never had that.
Wow.
And once you get that contract signed, like you're good to go. I mean,
Mm.
this is, you can get them on the phone. Hey, we got a contract. What do you need? And at first, when they're telling you, I need a 5-year insurance defense attorney, that doesn't mean much to you. You have to kind of do a little more research. The good news is like law firms, a lot of their websites have everything you need.
Mm.
Their
Yeah.
websites are so detailed with the types of law that they practice, and it's so easy if you like to do research on your own in many cases to find out exactly what they're looking for if they don't have time to even tell you. So
Yeah.
that was for me. Like I really enjoy doing that sort of stuff.
And I have to say, sorry, just on that same point, we are in such an amazing age now with AI. If you're changing markets, how quickly you can learn. We had another guy on the podcast, James Holder, who literally changes niches like every month, and he uses ChatGPT just to research the niches and the demand in the niche. And
Oh
it's
yeah,
just insane the level of detail and information he can now get with things like ChatGPT and Claude, which like 10 years ago would have been hours and hours of research on Google forums. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
100%. Yeah, I mean, there's let's say there's a type of firm in call it Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and you want to know like what would be a good firm to pull people from for this job. I mean, it'll spit it out in 10 seconds, and then you just go
Crazy.
into the your platforms from there, and you can build a search. It's incredible.
Yeah.
Awesome. So let's imagine there's a rookie legal recruiter
Yeah.
listening to this right now, Jeff. How are you from start to finish? How are you selecting the candidate, doing the research, and then pitching? Like from start to finish, what kind of information can we give this rookie recruiter to increase the chances of their success?
Yeah, so I use LinkedIn Recruiter a lot. Like that is like my number one probably technology outside of our ATS, which is also very good. But you can see who's recently open to work on
Mm.
LinkedIn Recruiter. It's not difficult. Those are people that can get on the phone with you. Like if I wanted to just start a legal staffing, or I would just get on the phone with them and say, hey, what are you looking for? Are there any firms in the area you would not want to work at? Whether and they'll also tell you, oh, I already interviewed at this place, don't send me there. So you can really like start to figure out, oh, these are pain points of the recruiters, and then I'm sorry, of the candidates, and then it's not difficult to email 100, 200 law firms and say, hey, like how are the agencies doing that you're working with? Like, would you be open to me sending you some resumes based on like stuff that you do? I mean, you'll get a couple people that are good with it, and you can get on the phone with them. They're probably not going to be the best clients at the beginning, but if you ask really good questions, they will tell you what you need to know.
Mm.
And the best I'll tell you, like the fee wise, like if you're going to pay an attorney, call it $150,000 a year, chances are they're going to be bringing in five to $600,000 of revenue to that law firm a year.
Mm.
So your fee of 20 to 30% is not a whole lot in the grand scheme of things. And so, if you can bring quality to them at first, it's very important. And I would add to that the quality of candidate that you bring to your clients at first, the first two or three submissions are absolutely vital, because if
Mm.
you send them an attorney that has absolutely nothing to do with what you do, they might not be barred in that state. Um, it's a job hopper, obviously, like something like that. Maybe somebody who's been out of work for a while, like they're just not going to work with you again. Like you have to find quality. And I think for me that was really important. Once I learned that, I would get firms that would say, man, you're the first one that like actually sent us people that we've worked with that fit our practice area. And to me, like I didn't even feel like I was doing anything really special. It was like a no-brainer to wait till I found somebody that would be a good fit. So yeah, I mean, I think it's quality over quantity, and then in legal anyways.
Awesome. I just want to jump to MPC. What
Yeah.
percentage of your business is won through MPC now, Jeff? Is it like 80%, 90%, 50%? What would you say?
Yeah, I would say about 80%. Some of them will
Amazing.
be client referrals. Obviously, let's say there's a candidate that I have that I'm trying to place at another firm. Maybe I do, maybe I don't. They're leaving the firm regardless. That's going to give me an in to call that client for sure,
Cool.
because I know that they have a new need. Um,
Awesome.
law firms don't like to lose people that make them money. Um,
Yeah.
and so they're usually looking for a backup pretty quickly.
Awesome.
So yeah.
And is there any like principles you've learned from your NPC campaigns that we can share with the audience? What is the 80-20 rule like with your NPC campaigns? What's the 80-20, do you think?
Yeah, I would say if you have a really good candidate and you have a good relationship with them, like that is worth its weight in gold. It's not easy to find in legal, but that one candidate can get you into 3 or 4 really good clients. I have a candidate starting on Monday, and it's a client that I picked up in, I think it was March. And it was really started from a conversation. This candidate didn't work out at the firm. Ended up taking another opportunity, but the managing partner was willing to get on the phone with me and say, "Hey, that was the best candidate we've gotten from a recruiter in a quarter." We get resumes from people all the time that just have we would have no interest in. We certainly wouldn't pay a recruiter, $40,000-$50,000 for this candidate. But we wouldn't even hire them regardless. We would have to train them so much, and it probably just wouldn't work out. So that's where, I would say the large majority of my clients that I've done 4 or 5 plus placements with came from NPCing a really good candidate, but that original candidate that I sent to them that was not my first placement there.
Yeah, that's so funny. We've heard that so many times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sorry, just to follow on from the NPC stuff, Jeff, because the key with it, the whole power of an NPC is finding a really good candidate, isn't it? Like that's the crux of it. And having a good relationship with them is obviously the second thing. But how do you find a really good candidate? Like you seem to have a knack for you've been complimented by a number of different clients saying this is how do you find those really good candidates? What's your strategy?
You have to really read their resume. It sounds so silly, but like their resumes are, if they're really good, they're at a really good firm for a while. They'll list their particular skills. I'll give you an example. Like medical malpractice defense is a pretty hot industry, and it's related to a few different other things: general insurance defense, workers' compensation defense. Those are kind of like correlated, but at the same time, like someone could be doing medical malpractice defense for 5 years and like not have it listed on their resume. So if you send somebody over to a client and you say like in your summary they've been doing that and it doesn't list it on their resume, you can kind of lose that client relationship really quickly. So I think just the accuracy of what you're sending at first, it's really worth it to do a double, triple check. Ask the candidate to update your resume. Maybe you can do it with even AI. You can do it yourself, but I think finding people that work at really good firms for a lengthy period of time are always going to be really attractive. And I would tell you in legal recruiting, those 3 to 6 year attorneys, they've been barred for 3 to 6 years, are usually the most profitable employees for that firm.
Interesting. Really helpful.
And so everyone wants one. It's like literally every firm in the country would hire a 3 to 6 year if they could get it in their price range. So that's a good intro.
And how are you always going to these A players or good candidates, however you want to frame them, with a job, Jeff, or are you starting a relationship and just asking them questions and keeping them in the loop? Like, how are you building that relationship with them?
Yeah, it can be. I have a really good job for them based on a client that I have currently. It also could just be, hey, like, are you active on the job market? If you were to leave your firm for something, other than money, like what would you be really looking for? Maybe it's equity in the company. Maybe it's a better work from home policy. Maybe it's less billable hours. Maybe it's a more lucrative bonus structure. Maybe it's a title. Some of the best placements I've had have just been someone's doing a type of law they don't enjoy. Like they are burnt out from it. They would like to do something else that this really like interests them. And obviously you have long commutes, something like that, that just like in every industry that we play in. But those are usually the best types of conversations that you have. And then, you can go from there and just cold call and email other firms in the area that do what this person might be interested in, or you find a firm that's closer to their house. Um, I give you an example. There's a candidate that I have expecting an offer for this week, and I was running a search about 6 months ago for another client with this great candidate. And he was such a nice guy, and it didn't work out there. And then I got this other need from a great client, probably my best client, and I remembered, oh, he lives like right around the corner from their house. I just cold called him at the office. You could tell he was really busy, and I said, "Hey, I got this type of opportunity in this part of town," and you could tell he was like, "Oh, really?" It's like there's no jobs that are ever around the corner from my house. Like that sounds like an awesome opportunity. I'd interview for that next week, and then you just kind of, really one and done interview and just kind of go from there. You know, I would say knowing the geography of an area also really helps. I lived in Atlanta, Georgia, and I live in Houston, Texas now. There are places that are considered Atlanta and Houston that are an hour from each other, especially in traffic. So
Yeah.
if you have a client that is like on site in this area, it's absolutely not worth your time to like pursue, sending a candidate that lives all the way on, the other side of town, and like really familiarizing yourself with geography of that area is important.
I'm curious if there's, because you said we're kind of jumping back to your basketball coaching days, Jeff, but you said that when you were in that role, it was like 80 or 90% recruitment. I can't remember what you said, what percentage, but is there anything you learn about courting people, keeping them happy, or whatever, from the basketball days that's kind of naturally bled over into what you're doing now? I'm curious.
You learn how to read people. And you learn who are the decision makers in a process really quickly, because a kid, these are real examples. Like you could have a kid that you really like, you'd love to have them sign for your school, and you are really courting the high school head coach. Like the high school head coach is like, you're telling him about the program, hey, like, really help us out here, try and help out the kid. But if you have a good, strong enough relationship with the kid, that kid might hate his high school head coach. He's not going to listen to anything that guy says. So like you could be wasting your time for an entire semester courting the head coach, when in reality he has no influence on the kid's decision whatsoever. It's just the kid, and it's maybe an uncle, maybe it's the kid's mom, maybe it's the kid's dad. Like, so you start to get a feel for who are the important players. And that's the same thing with what I do now. Like, some of the times, like the managing partners are the only ones that have any leeway on who's going to sign an agreement with the firm or whatnot. And sometimes the internal recruiters have absolutely no power. You can send the internal recruiter an agreement, it'll sit on the desk for 2 months, but if you talk to the managing partner enough, even if sometimes they say don't talk to them, I'll call those guys all day. I have no problem with it, because oftentimes, like, they like to talk about things other than the law. Hey, did you catch the game last night? Golf tournament this weekend? Like, you play golf? I like to play golf. Like it a lot of times it's very casual conversations that like lead into things. But yeah, the recruitment piece with basketball, like circling back there, is, a lot of times, like I had absolutely nothing on paper in common with the people I was recruiting. I'd never been in the state of Mississippi in my entire life, much less work there. And I, sign 6-7 players a year. We had to sign mostly kids from Mississippi, and I knew nothing about the state. It just came from driving around and building relationships and that sort of stuff. And I felt like if I could relate to those families, like I could, really do recruitment for a living. And yeah, that's kind of where I learned that.
Interesting, man.
I'd love to jump in and just talk about the point? So you've got this great candidate, Jeff. I think you mentioned email and phone.
Yeah.
What has been? I think you mentioned it on the pre-call. Correct if I'm wrong, but I think the phone has always been the most successful way for you to get through the door
By
with
far.
these law firms. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah, by far.
Awesome. And I'd love to just like, again, let's pretend we're a fly on the shoulder of Jeff making these cold calls. What are you saying? How are you getting? Because these partners are busy. They're probably, some of them probably like recruiters, most of them probably don't. And so how are you getting these guys to listen to you and just pay attention and then sign you? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, law firms, they hate being sold. Like they hate being sold anything because, they get sold different products all the time, not just recruiters. It's whether it's a technology or this and that. So my sales pitch is just, hey Ben, like, I know you're a partner at the firm, whatever. Got a 4-year associate that does insurance defense in your area. Would you open to just looking at the resume? He's quietly pursuing some opportunities. Like your firm is really fits a profile of what he's looking for. Would you be open to just looking at the resume? And I mean, most of the time, like I get a yes on that. It's not salesy at all. It's like you're not. Hey, I'm the best recruiter in the world. I do like all these like recruiting placements. I know you're a busy guy. Like, can I send you an agreement? Like it's very, very casual at the start of it. And I like to make them feel relaxed. Like I'm not, pitching or selling anything. If I have to go into more of a pitch, I would just say, hey, I'm a legal headhunter for, name whatever market they're in. This is a market I really focus on. I know a lot about. I have a few different candidates in the area that are looking. I would love to just shoot them your resume and see if you had any interest in maybe having a casual conversation with them, even if you're not actively looking. The reality is every law firm is looking for a 3 to 6 year in the country if their business is in a good spot because they can make money from that attorney. So that's usually the pitch.
It's funny because like you're basically saying, hey, do you want to make more money? Do you want to see this candidate to potentially make more money? It's like now it's like makes sense that like why would you say no to that?
100%. And they're leaving all the time. Like they may have just had someone put in their notice yesterday. I mean, that happens so much nowadays. And yeah, I mean, they're usually open to it.
I think it's worth mentioning the idea that like pitching a revenue generator feels a lot more valuable than pitching. Like I feel like the type of candidate you work with is so important because I can imagine there's some candidates that are just super hard to pitch.
That's correct.
Like, do you know what I mean? Like I don't know.
Yeah,
About some sectors now. I'm like, just the weight behind certain candidates is just not the same, is it? They don't have the same value or frequency or necessity as like a revenue generator for a law firm that's growing. It's like, do you know what I mean?
That's correct. Yeah, and firms oftentimes are more hesitant to hire, say, like a 10+ year, because usually they'll have to pay them more, and they might not get the same return on their value. And they like to train people to, work kind of how they operate, whether it's how they handle files or bill hours or whatever. And the reality is, like a 10+ year is usually kind of they already like do things their own way. And so they might not be a fit unless they, have a really good reference from somebody in the firm, or, a lot of times like they'll want somebody that's a book of business as well. I mean, that's a big part of it. Big partner placements, they're always going to want to know like how much money, how much of a book they have, so they could bring in. It might be 500,000, it might be over $1 million, it might be $10 million, and so they really want to know that as well. And a lot of times those 10+ years, they just don't have books, so a lot of firms are hesitant.
Yeah, I think just to add to that, I think and I speak about this all the time, and the 80/20 with NPCs and like pitching NPCs as well is knowing where the demand is. And you figured that out, Jeff. You said it to us multiple times, 3 to 6 years is where the demand is. And if you can find a candidate like that, you know you're going to get attention. And so it was interesting, when you cold call, you go straight in with that. If I've got a 3-year person, would you be, most of the time they're going to say yes, because you understand that demand. And I just want to press on that point for the audience that it's so important to like understand that demand before it helps with everything, with pitching, with sales, with inbound, everything.
It's amazing how many creators don't know that.
Yeah.
They don't know what's in demand. And I think it's like, that's pretty crazy, because then, like, how do you pitch anything successfully if you don't know what's in demand? It's like,
Right. Like a lot of people will do an NPC with, say, a paralegal in legal, and that's fine. People can oftentimes use a paralegal, but do they want to pay us 20 grand for a paralegal that they're really not sure about? And they might just be able to promote their legal assistant to be a paralegal and not pay a fee. Just give her $5,000 as a raise, and everybody's happy. They might just do, they're oftentimes they're not really sure. You can sign a client from paralegal. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's not. They're not the most revenue generating employees as we're discussing.
Yeah. Really
Interesting.
interesting.
Cool. So we've gone into NPC, the pitch. Excuse me. Getting on the phone is the best kind of channel. Is there anything else about the NPC process, Jeff, that we've missed that's worth mentioning, do you think?
I always like to lead that conversation into, all right, great, I'll send it over. I'm just curious, what's your experience been like with agencies? Like, do you have a local guy or girl you're using a lot? Do you use a big national firm? Do you have a standard agreement, that you use with recruiters, or am I able to just send over mine? These are the terms I like to work with. And yeah, I mean, oftentimes they'll say, I hate recruiters. Like the last ones we've used are terrible. I mean, they have no idea what they're doing. They send me people that aren't even barred in our state. They sent me job hoppers. Like biggest example of mistakes that I see in legal recruitment is like, it is actually crazy, but they don't know the difference between plaintiff and defense side. And they're totally different. Defense side, you're billing your clients hours. And you are going to get paid basically a certain amount per hour of that hourly rate. Plaintiff side, you're oftentimes just working on contingency. So obviously, as an attorney, you're going to get a salary if you're working in a firm, but you're not going to make a large amount of a bonus until the very end of the year, usually. And it could be a very lucrative bonus depending on the year that you had, but oftentimes the salaries are lower. So but you're not billing any hours to your clients. You're just like working a case as assigned. Whereas if you're on the defense side, you're usually billing, by the minute. Maybe it's like 8 to 30 minute increments, something like that. Depends. But you are billing your clients those hours. So like they're going to want to know what's the billable requirement for the year. Usually it's somewhere between 1,600 and 2,000. Whereas plaintiff side, like you don't have that at all. It's just what's the caseload or what have you. And so that's why it's difficult to place somebody from the plaintiff side to go to the defense side, because they've never billed hours before. It's an art to it.
Must be really nice because it sounds like every other recruiter sets such a low bar, Jeff, that you come in, do a few things really well. I'm sure you do a lot of things well, but it must be just funny. It's like, hey, they can't do the simple things right, and I'm just coming in and doing the simple things.
That's what I've learned. I mean, you're absolutely right. But I think what happens is people see these big fees people throw up. Like you could make a $100,000 fee on an attorney, at an AmLaw firm if you wanted to go that route. I mean, that's more money than the average, household income in the United States, like for one placement. So I think people. Yeah, I think people see those big fees and they say, oh, I'm just going to like send a bunch of stuff to these firms and just kind of see what happens. And they like get excited. And the reality is like just in every sector of recruiting, like you can get lucky, get some placements. I mean, there's no question about it. You can get lucky every now and then, but is that sustainable? I'm not sure.
Yeah. 100%, man. And I'm jumping back to a completely different question now. I know we're coming to the end of the pod, but the one reason I love recruitment and interviewing people in this industry is the lifestyle change that it had. Like if you work hard and you put the time and hours in, you can completely change your life in many different aspects, from mindset, the people you surround yourself with, but financially and it sounds like you've done that for your life, Jeff. So I'm just curious, like if you go back to your coaching days and where you are now making 600K plus, how has recruitment managed to change your lifestyle, your mindset? I'm just curious how your life has changed since then.
Yeah, I mean, I would say working from home is the biggest difference. Like, I
Mm.
used to be in the gym every day. I was teaching a class. It was a lot of like human interaction daily. You know, we had 15 players to look after. I would like tutor our players at night, and it was like almost like I had a family. You know, I mean, that's the coaching profession is like that's your family. I mean, during the season, you're literally around them more than your actual family.
Wow.
And so like losing that is oftentimes really tough. But for this. Yeah, I mean, working at home is a challenge for anybody. You know, you have to stay. You have to have a good group of friends and get out and be social. Otherwise, you can become a hermit. I mean, seriously, you probably know. So,
Yeah.
like for me, it's like playing tennis a lot. Like I like to play golf and travel as much as I can.
Cool.
And another thing is like my wife, she travels for work. I love her. She's awesome. She travels a lot for work. And so a lot of times I'm just kind of here by myself, with my dogs like during the week. So, that was certainly something to get used to,
Mm.
for sure. But there's balance if out there, if you can find it.
Awesome, man.
Awesome.
Cool.
Jeff, thank you so much for coming on the pod, my friend. This has been a really great conversation. I can't believe
Yeah.
how quickly it went, actually. It's insane. But yeah, thank you so much for coming on, dude. Really enjoyed the conversation, and just really appreciate your time today.
Thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to this episode. If you enjoyed it, please don't forget to subscribe on YouTube and Spotify. Tune in for another episode next week, and we look forward to seeing you again very soon. Peace and love.